Imagine you're on a flight, cruising at 30,000 feet. The seatbelt sign is off, you're sipping a drink, maybe watching a movie. Suddenly, a panicked flight attendant rushes out of the cockpit. The captain is unconscious. A wave of cold dread washes over the cabin. Who's going to fly the plane? This isn't the beginning of a movie. It's the terrifying reality that unfolded for a woman named Emma. She wasn't a pilot. She was a passenger, just like everyone else. But in that moment of chaos, with the lives of everyone on board hanging in the balance, a voice crackled through the cabin speakers from air traffic control. Is there anyone on board who can help us? Silence. Every second stretched into an eternity. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd taken a few flying lessons years ago, just for fun. It was a hobby, a weekend distraction. She never finished. She knew just enough to be dangerous, or maybe just enough to be a lifeline. Her hand trembled as she unbuckled her seatbelt. The flight attendant's eyes, wide with a mix of hope and terror, locked onto hers as she walked towards the cockpit, stepping inside. The scene was surreal. The pilot was slumped over the controls. An array of glowing dials, buttons, and switches stared back at her a complex language she barely understood. The co-pilot was trying to manage the situation, but he was new, overwhelmed, and looking for any help he could get. Emma slipped into the captain's seat, her hands hovering over the yoke. Her mind was a whirlwind of doubt. What am I doing? This is insane. A calm, steady voice came through her headset. It was an air traffic controller, an experienced pilot on the ground. Okay, Emma, we're going to bring that plane down together. His name was David, and for the next 30 minutes, he would be her anchor in the storm. He didn't ask if she was scared. He knew she was. He just started giving clear, simple commands. Emma, do you see the attitude indicator? The little aeroplane in the circle. Keep it level with the horizon. She found it. Her grip on the yoke was white-knuckled, but she held it steady. The plane stabilized. One small victory. Good, David said, his voice a lifeline. Now, we need to lose some altitude. Slowly, I'll walk you through it. He had her adjust the throttle, a gentle pullback. The roar of the engines softened. The plane began a slow descent. Each instruction was a small piece of a giant, terrifying puzzle. Lower the landing gear. Adjust the flaps to create drag. Every action had a consequence, a potential for disaster. The fear was a physical thing, a weight pressing down on her, making it hard to breathe. Behind her, she could hear the muffled sounds of the cabin. A baby crying, someone praying. A flight attendant whispered, "We're counting on you." DMO didn't look back. She couldn't. Her entire world had shrunk to the instruments in front of her and the voice in her ear. All that mattered was the next instruction, the next maneuver, the next second. David's voice remained impossibly calm. He was not just her instructor, he was her psychologist, her cheerleader. You're doing great, Emma. Just a few more miles. You can see the runway lights now, can't you? She could. They were like a string of pearls in the darkness, a beacon of hope. But they were also a stark reminder of the challenge ahead. Landing, the most difficult part of any flight, even for a seasoned pilot. This is where it gets tricky, David said. The plane will want to drop. You have to fight it. Gently, gently. Her palms were slick with sweat. The runway grew larger, rushing up to meet them. Too fast, too slow. The alarms in her head were screaming louder than any in the cockpit. A little more flair. Emma, pull back on the yoke just a little. Hold it, hold it. There was a jolt, a screech of tires on tarmac, a second jolt. The plane bounced, veered slightly, but she held on, keeping it straight. David was shouting instructions for the brakes, for the reverse thrusters. The massive machine groaned and shuddered as it decelerated, finally rolling to a stop. Silence. The engines whined down. The only sound was her own ragged breathing. She had done it. For a moment, she just sat there, hands frozen on the controls. The cockpit door opened, and the co-pilot looked at her, his face a mask of disbelief and overwhelming relief. Then, from the cabin, a sound started. A single person clapping. Then another and another. Until the entire plane erupted in applause and cheers. Emma finally let go of the yoke. Her arms felt like lead. The adrenaline began to fade, replaced by an exhaustion so profound it was a physical ache. She leaned back in the seat, closed her eyes, and let the tears she'd been holding back finally fall. They weren't tears of fear anymore. They were tears of relief. When the emergency crews boarded the plane, they found a hero. But Emma never saw herself that way. Just someone who, when faced with an impossible situation, chose to act. She proved that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling that fear, that cold, paralyzing terror, and doing what needs to be done anyway. It's about taking control, even when you're shaking. It's about focusing on the next step and the next, until you've flown right through the storm and landed safely on the other side. This story reminds us that you never know what you're capable of until you're tested. We all have a pilot inside of us, a reservoir of strength we can draw upon when we need it most. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of incredible human spirit. See you next time.